listening to Cinemajaw, the greatest movies podcast ever, recorded on location from Cinemajaw Studios in Chicago. My name is Matt Kay, and with me is...
Rye the Movie Guy, and sitting alongside us is... Fill Me In, Phil.
Hello, hello, hello.
This week on Cinemajaw, Matt, we put our signature touch on our top 5 this week as we do top 5 signature trademarks by directors.
What would you say Cinemajaw's signature move is?
Well, we have a couple.
Okay.
Right?
I'm really curious what you're about to say.
We clearly sign off with Keep On Jawing about the movies.
Okay.
Very signature.
That
right?
is very signature.
We have jaw-dropping moment, signature. I think we have a few of these.
Yeah.
And then
we do. All right. We like the jaw puns.
And we like to play trivia every week. That is a signature trademark of ours, is to end the podcast with some trivia. What would you say?
Boy, I wasn't prepared with an answer. I don't know. Mispronouncing words.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah, I'll just stop right there.
Not knowing what we're actually talking about.
That's another one.
Yes,
yeah, that's a good one also,
yes.
Phil. Wonderful. We're doing this in honor of Wes Anderson and a big review we got this week.
We do. 2 big reviews this week. Asteroid City and Flamin Hot.
Yes. Believe it or not, they made a movie about the Flamin Hot Cheeto, and we're
Boy.
going to talk about it here on Cinemajaw, Matt.
We are scraping the bottom. I mean, we thought the Tetris movie was something else.
It is the year of the product movie. Make no mistake.
Wow, it really is. BlackBerry, Nike. Here we go. Flamin Hot Cheetos.
Yes. No guest this week, Matt. In honor of Asteroid City, Stump the Kubinski this week will be City movie trivia. Think of movies with City in the title.
Okay.
That work?
Works for me.
Also threw a poll question out right before we got started out on Twitter asking what is the best performance in a Wes Anderson movie. I gave you these choices. Gene Hackman in Royal Tenenbaums, Ralph Fiennes in the Grand Budapest Hotel, Jason Schwartzman for Rushmore, or Bill Murray for Rushmore.
Wow. That's a tough call.
We'll see how the poll results come out.
Okay.
And last but not least, it's still Jennifer Lawrence month.
What a great month it's been.
It's been, I agree, 2 weeks in, it's been a wonderful celebration. Let's keep it going with a fact.
Yes, and people with olfactory senses rejoice. This week's Jennifer Lawrence fact is not about her being unhygienic. It's amazing. And that's, I thought we were going to go 3 for 3. And I'm a little disappointed, but that's okay. I guess she's a little Hollywood after all.
She's not unhygienic. She's just not pretentious, Phil.
I mean, are the two mutually exclusive?
Not necessarily.
We'll talk about this later. This week's fact, Jennifer Lawrence became the second youngest recipient of the Best Actress Oscar, winning it for Silver Linings Playbook in 2012, which we talked about last week, at the ripe age of 22. I don't remember what... Wow. I think Matt and I were talking literally
That's crazy.
today. I think I started the show when I was 22.
I had to ask Phil if they had ID to meet me in the bar. Because when you walked in, I was like, wow.
Phil looked young.
Yeah.
I still look young. Would you guys believe that I'm as close to 30 as I am? Don't answer that. I don't. My esteem won't take that hit.
So she was 22 when
22.
she won the Oscar.
Yeah. The first youngest was Marlee Matlin for Children of a Lesser God in 1986, and she was 21. But
I was
never
going to
mind.
guess Judy Garland, right?
Didn't the girl? I thought the girl from Beasts of the Southern Wild won. I feel like maybe it was just like she was the youngest nominated.
She was nominated, but she didn't win, I remember. And yeah, she was quite young. But that Judy Garland question, I don't know. Can we throw it in the fish tank if she even won an Oscar 100%?
For Wizard of Oz? Oh, boy, I
don't think she did.
And I think she was like 50 years old when they filmed The Wizard of Oz.
No.
Yeah, she looked real young. She played younger.
Oh, right. But not 50.
No, yeah.
Come on.
She was like 65, something like that.
Not a 90210 deal where we got someone almost collecting Social Security playing high school.
20 years older than she was supposed to be.
Come on. But throw it in the fish tank. We'll check that out. It's jam-packed jaw, man.
It is, as always.
Let's get it rolling with some Asteroid City talk, I say.
All right.
Can you believe this marks the 11th feature film from writer-director Wes Anderson? His style might be the most recognizable in film history. So much so that AI has been having a field day creating various Wes Anderson-style trailers online. Wes once again works with a large cast of A-list actors, this time putting them in the small town of Asteroid City during a stargazing event. Matt and I hit the theater to see if his latest effort is out of this world.
What do those pulses indicate?
What? Oh, the beeps and blips? We don't know.
Some of our information about outer space may no longer be completely accurate. Anyway, there's still only 9 planets in the solar system as far as we know, Billy.
Except now there's an alien.
What's happening now? I don't know.
The first thing of note about Asteroid City is the narrative style. We're not actually watching a story of people in a small desert town, but rather a documentary about a playwright who wrote a play called Asteroid City. In the telling of this documentary, Bryan Cranston plays a character similar to Rod Serling in The Twilight Zone. The playwright is played by Ed Norton. Both actors fit their part perfectly. In a nutshell, we have a story within a story within a story. Wes Anderson tinkered with this in The French Dispatch, but it was not as layered. Matt, what did you think of the narrative style? And do you think the many layers used are some indication of what Anderson was trying to say thematically?
I mean, it's really interesting, but honestly, I found it confusing. There were many times when the technique employed says something about the story, but here it just seems like a stylistic choice. So it's whimsy for the sake of whimsy. I didn't find any added benefit from this approach.
Okay, well, we're going to talk about what I think maybe it had to say thematically, because I think there's something about like a story within a story of what he's sort of going for, possibly of art reflecting life, life reflecting art.
There is a story within a story within a story. Right?
100%.
Because
right?
the black and white scenes are the play that Bryan Cranston is narrating, right? Or no. He's a narrator for
the documentary.
Right, for like a studio audience.
Right.
And then what's on the stage
is the play about the playwright making
the movie which we're watching.
Right.
So weird.
Right.
It's really difficult to get your head around. It's not very clear where you are in the layers at any time. This isn't like Inception.
The good news is that he uses the black and white footage when Bryan Cranston and Ed Norton are on screen. So we understand
most of the time.
Right. But we understand, at least from that perspective, that when Bryan Cranston is narrating, we're in the documentary film section of the movie. The vast majority of the film takes place in Asteroid City, and that's the colorful desert town filled with pastel colors, and that's where most of our actors and story takes place.
Right.
And then we get a few of these moments, almost like chapter breaks, wouldn't you say?
I guess. It's bizarre. And there's title cards, too, which the art style on the title cards I did not like at all. I don't know what they were going for.
I didn't mind it. The
Really?
only thing
It's like early 60s.
I need to see it again. But there were a couple of times I actually thought that they were overlapping the chapters. Like it would say sometimes chapter 1 through 3.
It was scene 1 through 3.
Or scene 1 through 3. And then I swear the next one would say scenes 3 through 6. Or, you know what I mean? It would sometimes overlap,
It was
I
Roman
thought.
numerals. You had to like stop and think about it for a second. But I don't think they did, actually. I think it was all in order. Worth another viewing for that alone, I suppose.
Yes. Okay, so once we're inside Asteroid City, we meet a slew of unique, quirky characters. For starters, there's Jason Schwartzman's Augie Steenbeck. He's there with his son and 3 daughters. Their car broke down, and he has to phone his father-in-law, played by Tom Hanks, to come pick up his daughters. They quickly meet Midge Campbell, played by Scarlett Johansson, who is a famous actress in town. A stargazing event is to take place, and some awards are to be handed out to school kids. All of this gets interrupted when an alien ship comes down to retrieve a meteor that gave the town its name. This alien invasion, oh man, is all done by Wes Anderson's trademark stop-motion animation. I found this absolutely hilarious.
Is that not a spoiler, though, Rye?
No.
All right. Okay. If you say so. It's hard to not enjoy Wes Anderson's stop motion, but it's also really ridiculous. It's a short step from camp to crap. And I think he's treading on Plan 9 from outer space territory here, and not in a good way.
I disagree.
Really?
Oh, I thought it was hysterical. He's used this stop motion animation in Grand Budapest Hotel. He used some of this animation in The Life Aquatic. So it pops up in his movies with his live action, and it's hilarious because it's so bizarre looking. It's meant to be silly. You're meant to laugh at the thing. And the alien, the design of the alien is hysterical. I mean, it is just flat out funny. It's not played to try to scare you in any way. It has one objective, and that's to make you laugh. And it worked for me. I mean, it was like a knee-slapping moment for me.
There was some good comedic timing with the alien. Yeah. The animation it's cute.
And the reaction of the people. I mean, they're sitting around at this kind of award show. All the characters, this
They're
cast
stunned.
of weird characters that populate this town are stunned by this alien, and it's just such a weird exchange. I loved it.
I'm curious if you think this is about the pandemic in any way. Are we going to get to that?
I
or-
didn't think it was about the pandemic. Do you?
Interesting. I think maybe that's possibly the only thing it could be about.
I mean, I want to talk more about that. Let's hold it because
right.
I left that for the last segment as we sort of discuss thematically what it's really about. But I did want to mention Tom Hanks. This is his first appearance in an Anderson film. I found him to be delightful here. Nothing crazy. If anything, I would actually say it's a subdued performance, but I think it was played just right. Your thoughts on Tom Hanks being in a Wes Anderson? This was good for Hanks' career.
Good for Hanks' career. Like, he needs anything, dude.
Well, he's been on not a normal Hanks role as of late.
I think he's set for life. He can kind of do whatever he wants.
Yeah, of course he's set for life. But I mean, I'm just talking about
artistically.
Artistically, his track record started to sort of go off the rails here. I did not like him in Elvis. He was by far the worst thing in Elvis. A Man Called Otto, I know some people liked. I didn't find it to be a strong
Hanks
Finch performance. Finch, okay, but he was also in Pinocchio, which wasn't the best role.
Yeah.
So get him back in sort of the hip kind of,
Is this a comeback for Hanks?
Well, not a comeback, but I sometimes he can swerve a little bit, and I think he's been a little bit off the Hanks boulevard of hits. And it's like, all right, get him back in sort of A-list form here. This is Tom Hanks. Dan.
Castaway 2. That's what we need from Hanks, right?
We also had, who else was a first-timer in this was Maya Hawke, who is Ethan Hawke's daughter. She plays the school teacher that lets all the kids off the bus.
Oh, is that who that was?
Yeah, and she's in Stranger Things. She's in other films as well. But she's great because she's always doing the roll count of the students, having them count, who's all there.
I liked it. She
also
falls in love with a cowboy.
She fit the bill perfectly for a Wes Anderson.
I guess. Who doesn't, though? Yet Hanks is good. I didn't like that he's got a gun in his waistband the whole movie. And this is a bit of a spoiler. But if you show a gun, you got to use a gun. That is like a cardinal rule of filmmaking or storytelling. That's all I'm going to say. I was a little disappointed by that, but Hanks is Hanks. Oh, and you know who else is in this? The redhead. Speaking of Stranger Things, the redhead from It, who was just in the D&D movie.
Oh, I forget that actress's name.
Throw it in the
fish tank. Yep.
Okay.
She is in it.
I love her. She's great.
She's question
rising in my book.
So, do you think Wes Anderson has a conversation with each one of these actors and explains, especially your first time being in a Wes Anderson, and explains how you have to play it, or do you think the actors have seen enough of Wes Anderson movies and they know, all right, this is how you play a character in a Wes Anderson? What do you think happens there?
I think a lot of directors, and we've asked this question of directors we've had on this podcast, will give out movies for their cast to watch to get into the mood of the film they're trying to make. Like Tarantino does this a lot, where he gives out all these weird 70s movies to his actors. I think Wes Anderson just gives them Wes Anderson movies.
Just watch this.
Just watch this. Hail Caesar. Watch it 3 times in a row, and you'll get it.
Hail Caesar's not him. That's the Coen brothers.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Yeah, Royal Tenenbaums or Grand Budapest. But my point is, even if, say, at the Royal Tenenbaums, where it was really starting to become sort of his style, I think when Rushmore hit, it was. I don't think anybody could quite pick up on exactly what was going on there. It was just different. It was odd.
And a lot of that was Murray too.
Right. It was Murray and it was Schwartzman. His deadpan delivery. He just fits with a Wes Anderson role the best. I mean, every time I see Schwartzman in a Wes Anderson, and he's the prominent figure in this movie as well.
He's the master of deadpan.
So perfect. I mean, absolutely nails it. And so I think he did that in Rushmore. I don't know if everybody was onto it, but by I think the end of Royal Tenenbaums, everybody knew what a Wes Anderson movie was at that point, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
It's interesting.
Certainly by I Love Dogs.
Yes. Now, I'm going to avoid some spoilers here, but the ending of the film contains two scenes that really hold, I think, the key to the larger themes the movie has on its mind. We get an amazing scene between Jason Schwartzman and Margot Robbie, also making her Wes Anderson debut. And
it's like joining the Marvel Universe at this point.
It is. And we also get the return of the alien. And the return of the alien has a line in there. And I quote, it is, "You can't wake up if you don't fall asleep." And I thought about this for the better part of 2 days since seeing the movie, Matt. I'm still not sure what to make of it. But thinking of it as the layers of life and reality, coupled with the way the story is told, is where I'm going right now as far as the layers of the storytelling. Wes Anderson contemplating what life and or what reality is. That's where I was going with this.
Wow.
Your thoughts, I'm open to it because I don't think it screamed through on a first watch for me, and I think for even a lot of critics.
You've said this before, and I agree. Anderson movies sometimes take multiple viewings, which I don't know if that should be, you know, but you can make an argument. Sometimes the emperor wears no clothes, right? I think you're giving this way too much credit. You can't wake up if you don't fall asleep is a vacant platitude. It's a fortune cookie message that Wes got after some bad egg rolls made him dream up this movie. It's always darkest before the dawn. You can't know the light unless you know the dark. Things outside are projections of what's inside, and what's inside is a projection of what's outside. I can go on and on.
I completely disagree. So you're telling me
it's totally stupid.
Okay, you're telling me that one of, if not the most meticulous filmmaker of all time, just threw a throwaway line in that he didn't think had some meaning, and it's not like it was mentioned once. This was a prominent moment in the movie.
Yes,
it is very prominent.
Chanted
So that's why I thought to myself, well, Wes is really trying to say something here. He did not throw that in there for, like you're saying. That's not what Wes Anderson does.
Oh, sure.
No.
Yes.
Not on a prominent moment like this. He clearly thought this out. Did it come through? If you want to argue that maybe the message of the movie didn't come through, fine. But did Wes Anderson just throw in this line because he meant it to mean nothing? I don't think so.
It does mean nothing. Of course you can't wake up if you don't fall asleep. Is there a deeper meaning? You could apply it to a deeper meaning. Or maybe Wes Anderson is literally trying to trick you, Ryan. And he is the emperor not wearing clothes, you know, and you're the one saying, "Oh, you look great, sire." You know, no, this was stupid, and I'm going to call it stupid.
Okay, so then is he maybe then saying, because you were about to say maybe this is a COVID movie, but before we even get there, do you get to the point of like what's going on in quote unquote reality is all a show? Is that maybe his point? Maybe.
I mean, with the whole Rod Serling Twilight Zone reference, like maybe, I suppose. But if it is, it's a really tangled message, man. Really tangled.
Maybe he's looking at it as life is just
a dream.
A dream. Like that sounds funny, but like life is just a show anyways. Like there is no actual reality. Maybe is the message of the movie. I'm
guess,
still
but
struggling with it. I'm
like,
talking about this out loud and thinking about it still.
All right. Well, I'll tell you why I think it's about the pandemic.
Why it's a COVID movie, I don't know.
Okay. So here comes the alien out of nowhere when they were all just doing their thing, and then suddenly quarantine, lockdown. Nobody can leave. They're all stuck in their little hermetic bubble. The army's there, the government's there. They're all trying to figure it out, and largely they don't. It turns out, and I'm not making any kind of statement, but it turns out that more or less the alien was pretty benign, right? And he goes away. I think Wes was making a statement about COVID and lockdowns and how we all kind of like went insane during that time.
That's not bad.
That's the only thing I could possibly think of.
That's not bad.
You know, and the little meteorite kind of looks like a coronavirus, I guess, and the alien kind of looks like he's sickly type creature.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There was definitely something on Wes's mind that I don't think. What I wrote to the publicist the next day when they asked for our thoughts, I was just honest. I said, I don't think the message came screaming through where I could say, oh, I totally got this movie. Now, that's not to say I didn't enjoy the film, but I don't think I got thematically what Wes was completely going for.
I will watch it again.
I will too. I'm probably going to see it in the theater one more time. So
I don't know if I can do that. I'm going to wait.
I had a lot of laughs, and that's where I wanted to go with jaw-dropping moments, because I didn't get to talk about all the silliness of Wes that I love. So
Let's hear
highlighted
it.
two, all right?
Okay.
I'm
all right.
with two highlights that I want to mention. One of them is Matt Dillon's in this movie.
So?
Okay, he's making his Wes Anderson debut.
Yeah.
And he plays an auto mechanic in the beginning of the film when Jason Schwartzman brings his car in. This scene's hysterical. The way he even sets it up, talking about how, I've seen this 2 times. One time, it was a 30-second part, and we fixed it, no problem. The other time, it took 3 weeks. We had to, the whole setup
the car's
is
still over there, yeah.
it's so great. I love that. I wanted to mention it's just such a small character, but it's great. And then there's this running joke. Steve Carell, also in this movie. Who isn't in this movie? Steve Carell plays the hotel manager, and this little hotel has all these vending machines, and this vending machine joke keeps coming back up. It basically, there's a vending machine for everything. So at one point it makes martinis and people are in love with the martinis, right? Someone comments like, this is fantastic, and talks about it came from the vending machine. They actually show how it makes in perfect Wes Anderson stop motion animation style.
Right.
Great joke.
Kind of like a Rube Goldberg contraption.
Great joke. And then the vending machine actually sells parcels of land. They want to know where to buy the land, and they go to the vending machine, and it sells them a parcel of land. That reoccurring joke worked for me the whole way through. That's just some of the Wes Anderson humor that I wanted to highlight here.
I liked how Carell's character started most of his sentences with, "Of course, I understand." And then he was so accommodating. I thought he was probably my favorite character. But my jaw-dropping moment is the opening train ride, because the world of Asteroid City is so obviously a set. They're not trying to hide it because it's a play, it's a story within a story. So you can tell that the crater is like styrofoam set, But that train ride through the countryside, which was artificial countryside, was so cool. And the shots of the guys sleeping on the train, sleeping under the train, somebody sitting up on top, that like railroad music is kind of like trucking along. That was a really fun. I thought at that moment, oh wow, I'm in for like something super stylized and brilliant. Unfortunately, it kind of goes off the rails
no pun intended.
To stretch the analogy. But man, that opening sequence was good.
That was a miniature, wouldn't you say? I thought it was.
I don't know, because they had live actors on it.
I think it was a toy train,
just digital with composite.
Yep, but I thought the actual train was a miniature.
It's got to be both. It was a mixture, and it was so seamless.
It was really neat.
Really, really cool looking.
I liked it. How about a movie poster quote?
This is what I got. Asteroid City asks if you are awake or asleep. I think I fell asleep.
Ooh. Tough crowd. I had 2 of them. You tell me which one's better.
Okay.
I couldn't decide. I went with quirky humor is not alien to Wes Anderson.
Let's hear the other one.
Close Encounters of the Wes Anderson kind.
Slightly better. Go with the second one.
We'll go with that one. How many Jaws, Matt K?
1.75.
Oh my God! Get me a water.
Because I was
Are
thinking,
you kidding me?
This can't. It's not even
1.75. Wes doesn't make a movie less than 2 Jaws.
Oh, doesn't he?
He doesn't.
Because I think I just saw it.
No,
absolutely.
No way.
This was not a good movie. You're blinded by your devotion to Wes Anderson.
No. You are gonna look like a fool saying 1.75.
No, I'm not. I'm
yes, you
sticking
are.
to my guns. I'll watch it again because maybe he is a good filmmaker. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm pretty sure this was less than middle of the road.
I disagree. I thought, wow, I'm going to be hard and I'm going to stun the room when I announce my Jaws, but I was not going to go 1.75. This is a master at work here.
Masters can miss
2.5. But I do want to see it a second time.
Tolerable.
I do want to see it a second time. I'm not giving it 3 Jaws. I bet you on second viewing, I'm rating this 3.5 probably.
I almost gave him 2 Jaws. but I had to stop myself because I'm like, is he getting that last quarter jaw just because he's Wes Anderson? And ultimately, I decided, yes, he was. Took it away.
I've told this story before on the Jaw, but my relationship with Wes Anderson started with Rushmore.
No shit.
Right? Watched it. Well, that was his second movie. I didn't see Bottle Rocket. I started with Rushmore.
That's true. You got Bottle Rocket there.
I liked it, but okay, great. I watched The Royal Tenenbaums. I didn't really like the movie. I thought it was like, it was okay, whatever. Good friend of mine by the name of Will Allison, who I worked with at the time, came in and said, you got to watch this. Have you seen it? I said, yeah, it's not that good. He said, you got to watch it a second time. I know you'll love it if you watch it a second time. I said, no, I don't want to watch it a second time. He goes one step further. He just brings the DVD in one day. I hate when people do that. Now I'm forced to watch this movie. When I put that movie in the first 5 minutes, I was in love with the film. He was so right, Will Allison, that I needed to see it a second time. That when I went back, I loved the movie. I gave it back to him. And at lunch that day, I went and I bought a copy for myself. And I became a Wes Anderson fan. Since that time, though, I had the same reaction with The Life Aquatic. I remember walking out of the theater saying, it's just too weird, too Wes Anderson, if you will. He sort of missed on this one. I'll watch it again, though. I watch it again. It's my movie of the year. I absolutely love The Life Aquatic. So my point is, it does sometimes take a little warming up to. I'm going to watch it a second time, but it's definitely not 1.75. You
All
are.
right. That's what I was going to say. Then let's make a commitment to the JawHeads. We'll watch it again. Let's say a month. Because, when does it come out on streaming and stuff?
Yeah, it'll be a while. I mean, it's going to hit, we should mention, it's out in New York and Los Angeles. It'll open up on limited release on the 23rd.
Okay.
So we'll see it probably when it hits streaming a couple of months down the road.
Okay, so then let's say when it hits streaming, we'll rewatch it and re-review it. Say, how does it hold up on a stream?
Right.
Okay.
That sounds good.
That's a commitment.
Okay.
All right.
We'll do it.
Should we talk about signature moves? Speaking of directors with bold styles, I'll get us started this week, Ryan. At number 5, and these, by the way,
and signature moves. These are trademarks. These are signature styles, moves that we see directors do time and time again.
When you sit down to watch a Wes Anderson movie, without knowing who the director is, you know you're watching a Wes Anderson movie. And there are reasons why. We're going to state those reasons for other directors.
Right. And I'm glad you brought that up because I did want to make that point. Would you not say Wes Anderson is the most recognizable style out there? Like,
oh, I don't know.
Like if you walked into a room and you were watching, just throwing another director out there, a Steven Spielberg movie that you had never seen before, would you recognize it instantly as a Steven Spielberg?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
But a Michael Bay, and I'm not saying in a good way.
You probably would. It might take a couple of minutes with Michael Bay.
See that first lens flare? It's J.J. Abrams,
But that might take a couple of minutes. But I think with Wes Anderson, just the style, you could not see one of his movies, even a frame of it, and be like, well, that's Wes Anderson. You just know it instantly.
Perhaps. I'm not going to argue big time. All right, so I just want to point out that every single person on my list is a potential number 1.
Wow, so you got a good list here, Matt.
I do, but I only have 5. I didn't do any honorables.
What gives? This is very strange for you to have such a good list.
I'm starting it out with a Best Director winner. In fact, I'm pretty sure all of these guys are Best Directors, except maybe one. I'm going with Guillermo del Toro at number 5, and I think his distinct signature move is that he likes to play with fairy tales. In one way or another, most, if not all, maybe not all of his films, but most of his films delve into the darker side of fairy tales. Certainly Pan's Labyrinth, most recently Pinocchio, Shape of Water. All of these movies kind of deal with sort of fantasy in one way or another. So I think that's one of his signatures.
And creatures, I would go one
Absolutely.
step further, right? He always, that's why The Shape of Water was so perfect. The central character is a creature, but Pan's Labyrinth, you go on and on. He does creatures really well.
Well, but all fairy tales have a creature.
Oh, you got to, if it's going to be a good fairy tale.
Sure. Some kind of monster.
He is a master, Matt. I will give you that. That is a worthy number 1. My number 5 is also a master, and it's Spike Lee. And what's great about Spike Lee is he has definitely a certain style, but there's one particular shot called the double dolly shot that he has done.
Yeah, what is this?
Okay, so the double dolly shot he has done in every single film from Mo Better Blues onward. It always has at least one double dolly shot. Now, I wrote down the definition so that I could read it out and everybody
Please.
knows exactly what I'm talking about. The double dolly shot is when a character appears to be floating towards the camera. Usually, a dolly shot is executed by mounting a camera on a tripod and mounting that tripod to a track. The camera glides in, away, back and forth. For Lee's double dolly shot, he also sets up a dolly, per usual with the camera, but he also sets up a dolly with the actor on another dolly. So they're on two separate dollies, and moves the camera and the actor at the same time. So essentially the actor is standing on a small board that is mounted to a track, and the board is then pushed forward as the camera is pushed away.
So they meet in the middle?
Yeah, and it gives you that idea of like the whole background is moving, but the character itself is floating.
It's like the push pan in Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, like when Frodo and the gang first meet the ring wraiths on the road, and they zoom in on Frodo's face, but the background
yes,
zooms out.
That's exactly it.
But
that's
he's
like
not in Jackson's case. He's not using a double dolly shot.
He could be. I don't know exactly how he pulled that off.
He's moving the camera in while zooming out.
Yeah,
or vice versa. So it gives that effect of the background changing while the character stays static.
In Spike Lee's case, the most iconic use, I would say anyways, is Malcolm X. He's walking to what he knows is certain death, and the camera is positioned a little low. The sky's overcast. The soundtrack is playing Sam Cooke's "A Change Is Gonna Come," and he does this double dolly shot. And again, it makes it look like Malcolm X is sort of like floating towards the camera as everything moves.
This is the most technical we've ever gotten on this show.
I know. But what's funny is after a while, and once you know this is coming, and
you're looking for it.
You're looking for it, and you're waiting for it. And I swear it pops up in every single Spike Lee movie. He's going to use it at some point. And it's just a cool moment knowing that it's coming and when you see it. Because he's a master.
That's a good one. At number 4, I went with Scorsese. Master, right? And I could have gone with a particular shot that he likes, because he does have a few that he goes for, the long take. But I went with narration. Scorsese has narrators on most of his movies, like Goodfellas, Casino, Mean Streets, Taxi Driver, The Departed, just a few of them. And I didn't even realize that before I started doing the research today. I'm like, oh yeah, why does he do that? I'm not sure. A lot of people say that narration is a lazy crutch for storytelling, but nobody accuses Marty of that kind of thing. He's really good at it, right? He must be one of the masters of using narration to move along a story. But can you imagine Goodfellas without Henry Hill's narration, Ray Liotta's narration?
We did our top 5 narration movies at one point. I know we did it because I had Goodfellas, I think, at my number 1.
Yeah, and they flip it at certain points. Like Karen gets to narrate a few scenes.
No.
Yeah, she does. Yeah, like the scene where he goes and he bashes the
does.
guy's face in with a gun, and she says, "What can I tell you? I thought it was hot." You know, like it gives you insight into the characters' minds. You know, so
when done right.
When done right, and I think nobody does it better than Marty.
Nice. My number 4, maybe not a master. You would probably say not a master. I would probably say just below a master. So,
okay, now I'm really curious.
But I actually went with M. Night Shyamalan at number 4, and his trademark is the twist. And here we go again with the twist and the reveal.
What a twist.
But he loves the twist.
It's a twist, yes.
He's the master at it ever since The Sixth Sense, and then followed it up with Unbreakable. He instantly became like the guy that was going to end his movie with a twist somehow. And even in The Village, it followed it up, and it was like, whoop, another twist. So then
Lady in the Water.
That followed him along the whole time. And are they always going to work? No, he's not going to bat 1,000 every single time when you're trying to really fool the audience and pull something.
Has it worked more than twice?
Yeah, I thought The Village,
Signs.
I'm a fan of The Village. I'm a fan of Signs. I would say 4 times it's worked. And then you could get into, lately, again.
Old was pretty good.
Old was good, but it was more of a reveal. Here we go again. But again.
Same thing, Ryan. It's the same thing.
No.
Something's happening. You don't know what it is, and boom.
No. Because there was no twist in that one. They just revealed why they were aging.
Okay. Was it not a reveal to find out that Bruce Willis was dead the whole time?
No, it was a complete twist.
It's a reveal. It's information we didn't have that was then revealed to us.
Because we were watching him and assuming that he was alive the whole entire time.
Right. Well, you were... This is the most asinine argument. They're synonyms. It's the same thing. It's the same storytelling device.
There is no way a reveal and a twist is the same exact thing.
Same thing.
No, it's not.
Find me a reveal that's not also a twist.
I just did. Old.
Also a twist.
It's not a twist because... All right, we're not going to do this again.
Jesus Christ.
We're not going to do it again.
We have to have this out someday.
JawHeads, is there a difference between a reveal and a twist? What do you think, Phil? Isn't a reveal and a twist two different things?
Don't bring Phil into this.
This is unfair to me in the sense that, like, I have... It's like when your parents are arguing.
Hey,
I can't
Parker,
pick a
settle this
side
argument
here.
between me and Mom.
Ah, jeez. All right. Well, anyways, back on point here. M. Night Shyamalan became the master of the twist. And like I say, he's not going to bat 1,000 every single time. However... to this day and probably forever, if M. Night has a film coming out, he's always going to be intriguing to me. Where I'm like, you know what? Got to check it out. It's an M. Night movie. So he's earned that respect from me, and that's why he's on my list.
If for no other reason to find out whether it's a twist or a reveal this time, you know? All right, that swings it over to me. Here's another one who you could make an argument that he is not a master. I would argue that he is in fact a master. He has never been recognized formally. John Carpenter. And his signature move is scoring his own movies. And holy crap, you think about the Halloween theme alone. You can make your career on that one song alone. But he also directed the movie. He does all the scores. He did the score for The Thing. He did the score for The Fog. He did the score for Escape from New York. Big Trouble in Little China, I'm pretty sure. He definitely did They Live. He's great. He scores his own movies. How cool is that?
That's really neat. I know Clint Eastwood had tinkered with that near the end of his career, but he's not nearly as creative with the score as John Carpenter. His are much more, softer scores, basic, couple strings on a guitar. It's like a quieter score. He uses synthesizers. He's got all kinds of it really makes the movie, the score. It's a major fingerprint on the film. And
they're good. Sometimes I listen to John Carpenter, and obviously inspired like Stranger Things, that theme song and stuff. It's a style unto itself. I mean, so he's not only a great filmmaker, he's an amazing composer. 2-in-1, triple threat, double threat.
My number 3, also an Oscar winner. We are talking a lot of masters here.
Oh, for sure.
It makes sense because this is why we admire their trademarks, right? My number 3 is Alfonso Cuarón, and it's the long shot, the long take that it's almost like a flex of a director to say, look what I can pull off. Look at, we're gonna stage this thing, and sometimes, and especially the first time I noticed it, you're just wowed by the long take, and it happened in Children of Men. And I remember sitting in the theater, and it's the scene where this car is going in reverse down a hill, and people are chasing after the car, and the camera starts outside of the car with the people chasing them. It moves to the car, goes inside the car. There's action inside the car. It goes outside of the car, the other window.
Legitimately one take, or was it digital?
No, legitimately one take. It had like a special contraption on the roof of the car that the cameraman would move, handheld.
It's the choreography alone.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And all the actors have got to be acting. The action's going nonstop. And I remember thinking, like, how I was like baffled.
It's like a ballet.
The first time I saw it. Yeah. I know on the DVD it has a special feature just on how they pulled off that one shot. He's also done it in Gravity. There's some great like long takes of action with Sandra Bullock outside of the space station. And he's done it in numerous films, Roma. So the long take, Alfonso Cuarón, my number 3.
Yeah. Also, I mentioned Scorsese does it. Boogie Nights, help me out.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yeah, P.T. Anderson. You're right. It's like a flex for certain directors.
It is.
All right. Number 2, heavy hitter here. I go with Christopher Nolan at number 2.
You with Christopher Nolan.
I went with Christopher
done,
Nolan. Mostly for my love of Memento, still one of my favorite movies of all time. And I think his signature is complex narratives. He'll take a simple story, relatively simple story like Memento, and make it interesting the way he folds the narrative. And as much crap as I give Tenet, its narrative structure is incredibly interesting.
Oh, sure. I mean, it's a head scratcher on how he came up with the whole idea.
Yeah, the way Tenet plays out is the most interesting thing about the movie, because there's a lot of parts of it that are messy. And I think he even does this in the Batman films. He plays with the structure of the narrative just enough to make it interesting. The way he chooses to go back and forth between the characters. He's a good storyteller. He's got an eye for it, except for Dunkirk. Big miss there. Total miss.
The more I've watched it, I think I have Dunkirk now as my number one Nolan film.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, get out of here,
I've watched
man.
it now 3-4 times. It's top tier Nolan.
Above Inception, even?
Yes, honestly. It's up there for me.
You're crazy.
My number two is a director that doesn't come up too often on Cinemajaw, and in some ways the technique, I love that he uses it, and when done right, it's excellent. But when it's done wrong, and it's been used so much that I actually dislike the technique. My number two is Paul Greengrass, and it's the shaky cam / handheld camera during action scenes.
He popularized this.
Right. And he perfected it. When you see the second and third Jason Bourne films, I remember being absolutely wowed by the action. Again, this is almost like a flex because you have to have choreographed action scenes that have to be not just between the two actors, but also with this cameraman who's literally part of the action because the cameraman's that close to the action between the actors. This isn't, on a crane. It's literally the actor sometimes going, underneath a right hook and getting the, shot from the other side of the fight.
You know who I think not invented this, but one of the first times I remember seeing it? Mel Gibson, Braveheart. I hate to give the guy credit, but the battle sequences, the shaky cam where you could tell like the person who filmed it was right next to the sword being swung.
Right. What it does is it gives such an intensity. And for Paul Greengrass doing the Bourne films, he's always on the run. There needs to be like this intense feel of Jason Bourne. And you think of that one shot in the third film where Jason Bourne jumps off a rooftop into a window.
Yeah,
and the cameraman follows right behind him. Like that kind of style. I mean, the cameraman literally makes the jump with the character as he's holding the camera, and they both go through that window. It's like, and then the fight just picks up right in there. The cameraman needs to know when he lands in the window where to start shooting because the cut doesn't happen right there. It's like Bourne gets up and then there's a fight inside the room that he just crashed into. And
that shot is underappreciated.
Oh, it really is. It's awesome. But then what happens is it's also a cheap way to intensify a lot of action. So I go back and
Nolan
I watch.
uses it too much.
Yeah, I go back and I watch stuff like The Hunger Games, and I know we're celebrating Jennifer Lawrence, but it's like, boy, the action in here sucks. I mean,
the first Batman.
It's terrible.
Yep.
And it's like, well, they relied too heavily on, hey, we'll get up this up-close action, we'll shake the camera a lot, and everybody will think it's like a big moment. And it's like, what's going on here? So it's something that needs to be done right. Paul Greengrass does it right. That's my number two.
All right, into our number ones we go. Here are the titans of titans. And when you talk about the best filmmakers of all time, this guy makes the list every single time. I'm going with Alfred Hitchcock. And his signature move, decades before Stan Lee did it, is the cameo. He's in every single one. Maybe not every single one. Maybe I'm overstating. He's in many, many of his movies to the point where it became a game. Mm-hmm. Like, where is he? Where's Hitchcock? Sometimes he's just like walking by in the background, Sometimes he asks for a newspaper and he's actually got a speaking line. M. Night Shyamalan does this, which I think when directors do this, you kind of get a feeling that they really think highly of themselves. But in Hitchcock's case, at least, he certainly deserves it. And he sort of made this a thing.
He did. I know when I took my film appreciation class in college, the instructor told us it was a thing that people would applaud when Hitchcock came on. So you were looking for him, you were enjoying the Hitchcock, and then it was a thing in the theater. Once they saw him, audiences would applaud, because sometimes it wouldn't always be in the beginning. Sometimes it'd be in the middle of the movie. It would be in weird spots, and
it was the Easter egg.
It was.
Yeah. So there you go. What do you got at number one?
My number one, if I wasn't going to say Wes Anderson, who I do say is the most distinctive style, another one that I do think jumps out at you is Quentin Tarantino. And he has actually a bunch of trademarks that you could go with. But I landed on his love of feet.
So you landed on you landed on your feet.
So it's been written that he has a foot fetish. We're not going to go into all this stuff.
He's not shy about it.
No, he's talked about it. But after like reading that article and then rewatching some of his movies or seeing his new movies, oh my God, does he got to concentrate on the feet so much? It's absolutely shocking.
Make the movie you want to see, Ryan.
Every single movie. You think about Pulp Fiction when they go to do the dance, and the big dance between Uma Thurman and John.
Jackrabbit Slims.
Yep,
Yeah.
takes off his shoes. There's definitely shots of the feet and how they're moving on the dance floor. Obviously, the bride in Kill Bill when she comes
Wiggle
out of
your
the
toe.
coma trying to wiggle your toe, all the way to Margot Robbie in Once Upon a Time. Putting her feet up in the theater, and there's this shot of her feet right on the theater chair as she's watching herself on the big screen. If you haven't noticed it, Jawheads, go back and watch a Tarantino movie, and you will now notice it all the time.
He does it in Death Proof too.
Oh yeah, Death Proof has it. There's always a concentration on the character's feet, usually women's feet, but feet in general are something that Tarantino always focuses on at some point in the movie. And once you get to know it, you actually appreciate it. Like I'm waiting for it when I'm watching one of his movies.
We're learning things about you today, right?
But I could have went with his.
I went with Hitchcock. You go with feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, he shoots characters driving in a car better than almost anybody. He always gets this really cool shot, be it in Reservoir Dogs where they're just driving around Mr. White and Mr. Pink before, when they're sort of training
Before the
together.
heist, yeah.
There's cool shots of them. But he gets that in Pulp Fiction with John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
He gets it in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Brad Pitt and DiCaprio. He just shoots cars and people in cars so well. You get the trunk shot he loves to do where they open up a trunk and then he gets the
POV.
The POV of that. So there's numerous Tarantino trademarks that he goes to.
It's a good choice at number one. There is no argument.
Honorable mentions, any?
I didn't have any. I mean, how do you beat that list of five?
Those were great. I did go with Woody Allen. Always opens
yeah.
up every single film of his with the most basic credits. It's just white lettering over black screen and with classical music playing. Doesn't matter if it's a drama, supposed to be a comedy. It doesn't matter. He's not trying to set the mood. Here's the credits. Always gets a smile on my face. And then Steven Spielberg, always working with John Williams for the score. I know you mentioned Carpenter scoring his own movies, but I love that collaboration between Spielberg
There's a muse there.
And Williams, Mm-hmm. Those were the only two that I wrote down that weren't mentioned.
David Lynch should be mentioned. I think he's got a really distinctive style. And I think, I don't know, darkness, oddness, it's tough to pin it down. But when you're watching a Lynch movie, I was thinking about this earlier when you said, who's got such a distinctive style. Lynch should be mentioned.
And another one is Tim Burton.
Right.
Right?
We could go on and on
Right,
all
we
day.
could. But you was just saying Lynch got Tim Burton into my head. And I thought, right, Tim Burton's another one. I think you can more or less know you're watching a Tim Burton movie within
5 seconds.
Yeah, five
Is
to 10 seconds.
Helena Bonham Carter and Johnny Depp in this? Okay.
There it is.
Yep.
But his trademark would just be Gothic style.
Yeah.
So they're out there. Trademarks of directors.
I'm so shocked he didn't do any of the Harry Potter movies. He would have been perfect.
I watched that Wednesday show about Wednesday Addams on Netflix. It was
pretty good.
excellent.
Yeah, I liked it.
It was.
Yeah.
So good stuff. Jawheads, that was our top 5 list of directors' trademarks. If we missed a pick that you want to mention, shoot us an email, feedback@cinemajaw.com. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, results of the poll question, Wes Anderson, Flamin Hot capsule review, and Matt is playing trivia. Stick with us.
We've all got something to say. And this month, since it's Jennifer Lawrence month, we're giving the mic directly to her in this role from Winter's Bone, right after she gets the tar kicked out of her.
You got something to say, Charles. You best say it now.
I got 2 kids that can't feed themselves yet. My mom's sick, and she's always gonna be sick. Pretty soon the laws are coming and taking our house and throwing us out to live in the field like dogs. If Dad has done wrong, Dad has paid. And whoever killed him, I don't need to know all that. But I can't forever carry them kids. And my mom. Not without that house.
And we are back on Cinemajaw. Matt, before we get to Flamin' Hot review and play some trivia, we threw at least one, maybe two items into the fish tank. Let's open it up.
Wait a moment! It's fish! Isn't it?
Fishy! Wake up! Wake up!
No, Pat, it's a giant glass bowl. Hey, get some fish folk.
Who's coming with me besides Flipper? Here.
That's a Sicilian message. It means Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Thank you so much. I do think also it's great to be out this week. I think, right, like the producer fill-in also, maybe I'm just hype. Maybe that's a fill. No, it's not. It's a Cinemajaw a signature move. We're nothing but signatures.
Throwing our producers into some sort of container.
Yeah. That kind of like manhandling.
All the
just
way back
fitting us into a vessel too small for us.
All the way back to Redbox Reno.
Right.
Somehow we got him in that red box.
That was amazing.
And then Elias in the jaw box, and now you're in a fish tank.
That's, and whoever comes many moons after, right, that'll be the legacy that lives on and on and on and on. There will always be a producer fit into a vessel too small.
It seems like the containers are getting smaller, too.
And, well, the people are getting smaller if you think about it as well.
That's just a weird coincidence.
But it is true.
About true, yeah. You and Elias are fairly similar sized.
I think I'm shorter than Elias. Maybe I'm not. We both have very twiggy wrists. We're both very gangly and twiggy. If you're listening, Elias, sorry. So we had two questions in here. The first one, has Judy Garland ever won an Oscar? And no, she hasn't.
Criminal.
I was right.
Criminal.
She's been nominated twice.
She should have won both.
How do you know?
Because I'm a big Judy Garland fan.
Best Supporting Actress in 1961 for Judgment at Nuremberg, and Best Actress, which was why we were talking about it, if she was the youngest to get Best Actress, and that was for 1954's A Star Is Born. I'm always trying my best to go above and beyond here, and I will say, even if she won Best Actress for A Star Is Born, she would have been 32, so 10 years, a whole decade beyond
Jennifer Lawrence.
And no nomination for Wizard of Oz.
No.
Ain't nothing.
Crazy.
I did look at, if she did win for that, that would have been 17, so big time she would have won.
Then she would have been the youngest.
I mean, obviously she was the main character in the Best Picture, so.
It didn't win Best Picture either, though.
Oh, it didn't?
No.
That's a shocker.
I think that was Gone with the Wind. It was 39's a very strong year.
That is not the same year, because Wizard of Oz was the first movie in color. Gone with the Wind was all in color.
Wizard of Oz was 39.
I guess you're right. Gone with the Wind.
Yeah, Gone with the Wind won the Oscar in 1939.
Arguably, deservedly, but the fact that Wizard of Oz wasn't even in the race for Best Picture, that's insane when you think about how it stood the test of time. To this day, I watched Wizard of Oz this year. Still holds up.
Oh, sure.
It's a fantastic film.
Great film. There's no doubt about it.
Don't know if we can say the same of Gone with the Wind for many, many reasons.
Unbelievable.
Anyway.
Then we had one other question in here. Who is the actress in Asteroid City that was also in the It films and in the Dungeons and Dragons film? And that would be Sophia Lillis is her name, the young actress. Sophia Lillis.
I guess she's Hollywood's It girl.
She's definitely blowing up right now.
She is. You didn't pick up on my It
I
joke.
got the It joke. It was just lame.
It was good. It was funny.
Brutal honesty from Rye the Movie Guy.
Well, we are in the fish tank. Let's get to that feedback. It was a poll question, and it was this. What is the best performance in a Wes Anderson film? Your choices: Gene Hackman in Royal Tenenbaums, Ralph Fiennes in Grand Budapest Hotel, Bill Murray in Rushmore, or Jason Jason Schwartzman in Rushmore. Where would you cast your vote here, Matt?
I mean, first of all, it's between Schwartzman and Murray in Rushmore. And tough choice, but I think you got to just eke it out for Murray. Probably, arguably, the performance of his career.
Wow.
I mean, you can go Venkman and you can go Lost in Translation.
That's where I would go.
Maybe you're correct. What the top 3, certainly, of his career.
All right, so the Jawheads have spoken. Matt, you are going to be shocked. Shocked. Coming in at dead last on the poll, Bill Murray, Rushmore.
Wow.
9% of the vote. He got 9%.
That's ludicrous. What do we got next?
Coming in at third, Jason Schwartzman, Rushmore.
Whoa. These people are backwards.
15% of the vote.
Jawheads, you got it wrong this time.
I actually would have voted correctly here. Coming in second, Gene Hackman, 35%. And number 1, Ralph Fiennes, Grand Budapest Hotel, 43% of the vote.
All right, confession time. I still haven't caught up with Grand Budapest
Once
Hotel.
you see that one, you'll understand why the Jawheads voted for Ralph Fiennes.
Yeah, I guess.
That's my vote as well. I mean, you can't bash it if you haven't seen it.
I'm not bashing it.
It's hard. Do we think that I think Jason Schwartzman's best Wes was probably Rushmore, but do we think that Rushmore was the best Murray in all of Wes Anderson's catalog? That's what my head scratcher is I don't even know if that's the best.
We could have put him in Steve Zissou, right?
Yeah.
Right. He's excellent there also.
I'd choose Rushmore. You know what? Rushmore, I think I've said this before. It's like the Anderson punk rock is before he went new wave with the Life Aquatic, you know, before he got all the way up his own ass. You know, he is all the way up there now. Let me tell you, he's so far up his own ass, his head popped out the other side. You know, if you ask Wes Anderson why his breath smells, that's not his breath. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say.
Wow.
He's all the way up his own ass.
All right, we got the point.
Yeah, it's inside out.
Is he up his own ass, do you think?
I don't think so. That's just Matt
Boy,
making his...
Wes, pull it out, buddy.
That's just Matt. He's stuck on this point, and he's just going to nail it home.
That's what I said to you when I came out of the theater, man. Boy, was that up its own ass. The movie was just ridiculous.
All right. Was that everything in the fish tank?
That's all we got this week.
All right. Jump back in there.
You bet.
We all write our own stories.
Where is Richard? I'd like to speak to him.
I'm here. This is mine. That's me, the Mero Mero, Mr. Richard Montañez. I'm the guy who helped bring the world the most popular snack it's ever seen.
Are you ready? A huevo.
I've been ready. All right. It was a little bit more like this.
That clip is from the new film streaming on both Hulu and Disney Plus titled Flamin Hot. Matt, you guessed it. The Flamin Hot Cheeto and the guy who invented it has their own movie.
Wow, how far we've sunk.
The story came to fruition a few years back when Richard Montañez released a memoir detailing how he went from being a janitor at Frito-Lay to working on the marketing team and inventing one of the most popular chips in the United States. 2023, as I said, is the year of the product movie, so why not have a Frito movie? The feel-good story is directed by Eva Longoria.
Really?
Directorial debut by Eva Longoria, and I have to say she did a solid job here. There were a few flourishes that stood out. Most notably, we get a few scenes that take place inside a corporate boardroom. These scenes are reimagined by Richard, who sees them go down as if people were talking like Mexican gangsters. The film's cast is likable all the way around. It was good to see Tony Shalhoub as the head of Frito-Lay. He gives Richard his big break, and the rest is history. If you like a fun underdog story or just love flaming hot Cheetos, check this one out. I should note, though, however, I looked up the controversy on the claim that Richard invented the Flaming Hot product line, and it turns out the LA Times did a piece a couple years back that debunked his claims altogether. Frito-Lay even says Richard did not invent the chip. We know Hollywood likes to stretch the truth. This might be more made-up story than actual truth on this one, unfortunately.
Apocryphal?
Yeah. I mean, there's all
Boy,
kinds
that's
of
a shame.
all kinds of stories.
Talk about
online.
high highs down to low lows.
I know. It really actually made me think less of the film, to be honest. I enjoyed the movie. I gave it 2 1/4 jaw, dusted off the quarter jaw. I went 2 1/4. And
did you have to wipe the Cheeto dust off the jaw?
yes,
Yeah.
I actually did. Wipe the Cheeto dust. I mean, all that red and orange dust.
I have a few questions, but finish your point.
But I then went down the rabbit hole because I had heard there was some controversy on it. You know, I was like, what was going on? And I looked it up. And it turns out that this Richard guy has been claiming he invented the Flamin Hot Cheeto.
What a dick.
And it turns out that the LA Times talked to like numerous people in the plant, talked to Frito-Lay. This is when his memoir came out, before even the movie started production. And they all came out and said, no, I mean, I don't know what he's even talking about. Like, it had been in the works when he was still, in the janitor position and whatnot.
So he just wrote a really good book. That's totally fictional.
And what bothers me the most is this guy is now one of these like motivational speakers. He goes around and talks about his life story, and he's being paid $10,000 to $25,000 an appearance. And it's like, it's a made up story. The guy didn't even invent the thing. I do think he had the idea.
In and of itself is still amazing.
He had the idea, and he was definitely, he's a janitor that was like very forward thinking and trying to get like move up in the company. I believe he probably did have the idea of making the Flaming Hot Cheeto, but it was already in the works at Frito-Lay. Then it came out, and he was on the marketing team. Somehow this translated to he invented the chip, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Interesting, man. I really, really want to watch this movie. So here are my questions. Is Chester Cheetah in the movie?
One more time.
Chester Cheetah, is he in the movie?
No. Is that the mascot?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
It's not
I didn't know
being cheesy, right? Come on.
I didn't even know he had a name. It took me a second. Yeah.
He's one of the most beloved marketing mascots of all time. He's up there with Tony the Tiger.
He's no Hamburglar.
I
got the Hamburglar at
I forgot
number
who
one.
I was talking to here.
I got the Hamburglar at number
Hamburglar.
one. And even the King in Burger King is hilarious.
Yeah, no, I like the King, but I mean Chester Cheetah, man. Come on.
I didn't even know his name. You're saying that like everybody knows him on a first name basis.
I mean, he's Joe Camel. I mean, he's in the A-listers.
He's not in the film.
Okay, bummer. Second, did you eat Flaming Hot Cheetos while watching this movie?
I did not. And
I feel like you should.
Here's a truth that I've never said on Cinemajaw before. I hate Flaming Hot Cheetos.
I do too. It's like instant heartburn.
Yeah, I don't. It's just not my jam to eat like really spicy chips like that. That's just not my thing.
Me neither.
I like the Cheeto, and I like the baked Cheetos, even though those are tough to find now. But
have you had these things? Phil's had them. These are what the young kids eat. Takis.
I heard of these, but I have not had them.
It's like biting into a cinnamon stick that's somebody sprayed mace on. It's disgusting. I don't know why people like it.
It's got like citrus in it. It's nice. And it turns your tongue blue.
Even though the chip itself, if you can call it a chip, is red. I mean, like a potato chip, I understand. That is a piece of potato that somebody has fried. What the hell is a Taki?
The Takis are just Doritos that are rolled up.
Okay, so it's corn?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
like a corn nut.
It's a tortilla chip that's rolled up. It's imagine like taking a triangle tortilla chip and then rolling a joint out of it. That's essentially what you're doing with the Taki.
All right, maybe I'll try them again with that in mind. I don't know.
Well, Flaming Hot is streaming on Hulu and Disney Plus. 2 1/4 jaws from Ryan the Movie Guy. I do say it is a feel-good movie that you can watch with your family.
I'm going to have some I'm going to break my rule, eat some Flaming Hot Cheetos and watch this movie.
Oh, how exciting. Next week on The Jaw, before we get to trivia, our plan is a review-o-rama, 3 big movies. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, No Hard Feelings with Jennifer Lawrence, and Extraction 2. So
should be fun.
That's what we're looking forward to next week, Jawheads. We ready to play some trivia, Matt?
I'm always ready.
In honor of Asteroid City, we're playing City Movie Trivia. Think of movies with City in the title.
Okay.
Matt needs 3 questions or more not to be stumped. Question 1 is over to him. Wesley Snipes, Ice-T, and Chris Rock all appear in this 1991 flick.
Okay, wait. It's something. Something City. New Jack City.
That is correct. Whew. I thought you were going to miss the easy one, Matt.
I almost did.
Question 2. Name four people who appear in the 1995 film Sin City.
Oh, this should be easy enough. Okay, Elijah Wood, Mickey Rourke, Rutger Hauer, and Ron Perlman.
This is 1995? That can't be right.
That is not right, by the way.
That cannot be right.
Yeah, Sin City came out in the 2000s.
Oh, maybe it was 2005.
2005.
Edit that.
No, we're leaving it in.
Okay, 2005. Sorry.
It's okay. You were only off by a decade.
Yeah. Matt is 2 for 2. Question.
I could keep going on that one. You have Clive Barker.
Brittany Murphy.
Clive Barker.
I didn't even talk about
you
the
mean
women.
Clive Owen?
Clive Owen.
Yeah.
I didn't talk about any of the women.
No, Jessica Alba.
Yeah.
Benicio del Toro. Michael Madsen. Josh Hartnett. There were a lot of people in there.
And Sixth Sense himself, Bruce Willis.
Yep. All right. Matt is 2 for 2. Question 3 is over to him. In 1998's City of Angels, Nicolas Cage plays an angel who turns into a human and falls in love with this actress.
Dude, I don't remember. Okay, so it's not Cher. That was Moonstruck. It's not Kathleen Turner. That was Peggy Sue Got Married. Who's another famous Cage flame? Wow. 1995?
1998.
1998. City of Angels. Elizabeth Shue.
That is incorrect.
I don't know. Who is it?
We're looking for Meg Ryan.
Wow, really?
Meg Ryan and Nicolas Cage.
He's been the leading man to every leading lady, hasn't he?
Matt, 2 for 3. Question 4. Last year, Sandra Bullock and Brad Pitt appeared in 2 movies together. One of them was Bullet Train. What was the other?
Last year? It's got to have City in the title. Wow. Brad Pitt and Sandy. Wow. I don't know. City on Fire. I got nothing.
We're looking for The Lost City.
I didn't see it. I missed that one.
Comes down to the last question. Matt needs this not to be stumped.
Boy, I don't like my odds.
No, I don't like it either because this was the toughest question. Matt, Al Pacino, believe it or not, and John Cusack appear in one film together. Think about that. Al Pacino and John Cusack in one film together. It came out in 1996. Name the film.
Okay. I'm going to give this the old college try and really think about it. I'm going to put on my thinking cap. 96.
I don't think that cap fits.
Cusack in 96. I think his star is low. He came back in the aughts, but in 96, the whole Better Off Dead Brat Pack stuff was over. Pacino in the 90s was pretty highly respected. What the hell was Pacino doing in 1996 that had City in the title? Because you got, Devil's Advocate with Keanu and Charlize Theron came out in the early 90s. I want to say like 94, maybe 93, something like that. So 96, Pacino. It's got to have City in it, and it's got Cusack. And it's not Sin City, and it's not New Jack City. We've established these facts. Can I get a hint? Is there any kind of clue?
No clue.
City Watch.
Incorrect. I mean, all of that thinking and processing for shit.
I like to think out loud, right?
My God, that was excruciating. We were looking for City Hall.
I was close. I was really close. I said City Watch, City Hall. Same thing, really, when you think about it.
We have successfully stumped the Kubinski.
It happens once in a while.
Brings us to the end of a great jaw. First and foremost, we got to thank our producer, our editor, Fill Me In, Phil.
Thank you so much. Wouldn't want to be anywhere else. It's the best night of the week. Matt, do you know what a City Watch and a City Hall are? They are not the same thing at all.
Well, I know this, that the City Watch goes to report at the City Hall.
That doesn't mean they're the same thing.
I said they were similar. I didn't say the same
You
thing.
said pretty much the same thing.
Pretty much. The operative
all he
word.
says.
I'm going to take the audio and like jump cut to Phil's joke here where I replay Matt saying they're pretty much the same
The
thing.
operative word is pretty much.
Wow. This guy, he is on a roll at the end of the Jaw. We also got to thank the Patreons, Matt.
We should thank them.
Yes.
And if you want to get in, we're about to drop a little bonus episode on Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull on our Patreon for the patrons. So if you want in, go to patreon.com/Cinemajaw, and we hope to see you.
Yes, it would mean the world to us. Thanks for supporting the show, Patreons. The other way you can support the show is by leaving us a review wherever you're listening to this podcast. These reviews do help attract new listeners, so that would be awesome
huge.
if you can do that for us. Until next week, I'm Rye, the movie guy.
I'm Matt Kay.
And keep on jawing about the movies.